In this video, we're going to cover the basics of the GST report within Dentrix Ascend. The GST report displays procedures and products for which you charged tax that were posted within a specific date range. It is important to note that the report will reference different things depending on whether or not the practice is using the cash or accrual basis for GST calculation. In order to check if your practice is using the cash or accrual basis for GST calculation, you want to come up to Settings and click on Location Information. If you scroll down, in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the GST calculation basis. To put it simply, the accrual basis means that the GST report will show you the invoices that you have processed within a certain time period and the GST applicable to those invoices. The cash basis will instead show you the payments that you have received during a particular time period. It is also important to note if the fee prices are set to be GST inclusive or GST exclusive, and we'll go over why this is important when we run the report. In order to access the GST report, you want to come up to the drop-down menu next to the Home button, and in the Reports column, come down and click on GST. Now, the first thing you want to do on the left is set the filters for your GST report. If the practice has multiple locations, you can click on the Select Locations button and tick the relevant locations that you want to include in your report. You'll also want to enter a date range for which you want the report to cover. For the purpose of this video, we'll just do from the 1st of January to the 31st of January. If necessary, you can also filter for a particular provider, but it will default automatically to all providers for the practice. Once you're happy with your filters, click on Search. Now, just quickly, it is important to note that depending on how many transactions the practice is processed during your chosen date range, the report may take a few minutes to load. So don't panic if your report doesn't load as quickly as mine has. So this is our GST report. You'll notice that because we chose multiple locations in our filter, we have two separate sections here. One for the Blackburn location and one for the Growing Smiles location. Each location will have their own total amount and total GST charged. If you want to have a report for the organization as a whole, including all locations, then you can tick this box on the left that says Include Organization Summary and rerun the report. And that will give you an organization summary as well. Now, the report as a whole is fairly straightforward. You have the name of the patient, the date on which the patient was invoiced or the payment was received, the name of the provider, then followed by the procedure code and the description of the procedure. Now, this is where it sort of becomes important to know if the fees for the practice are GST inclusive or GST exclusive. The reason for that being, if your fees are GST inclusive, then the amount in this column here will show you the fees inclusive of GST, but it will have a separate column on the right to let you know how much GST is actually included in that total amount. If your fees are GST exclusive, on the other hand, then the amount in this column will be a pre-tax charge. And then the amount of GST would have to be added onto that to get your final figure. Underneath those columns, you will see a bolded total amount charged and the total GST that was charged. This will be separate for each location, or if you have an organization summary, as I do here, this total will be for all of your locations. So in our case, the $250 from the Blackburn site and the $6 from the Growing Smiles site equals the $256 organization total. Unfortunately, at the moment, there is not an option to print the GST report. That has been requested and will hopefully be added at a later date. Other than that, this has been your basic rundown of the GST report. If you have any questions or concerns, you are, of course, welcome to call our support line, or you can refer to our Zendesk articles, and the link for that will be put into the description.